Digital distribution, as we heard this morning, is really important for European ecosystems, and it almost seems that Netflix and Amazon are the guys, or the golden boats, or the golden eggs who take the cream. But I have the great pleasure to introduce on stage Mitch Mallon, who's a very seasoned digital media integration executive who will actually tell you a little bit what is going on in the global streaming market and what kind of opportunities we could have in Europe. So Mitch, please.
Is it working? Hey, all right, very nice. So hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, do a little shtick. So I'm Mitch Mallon. I'm in the business of music and home video distribution business for over 35 years. Well, okay. So back in 2004, I launched one of the first digital distribution companies named Digami Media. And we were there when everyone was like, digital. DVD was huge, nobody was thinking about it. My former bosses were very forward-thinking, and they were kind enough to actually enable me to figure what this world might be. In 2007, I had a gentleman who was with one of the trade organizations in the US, and we sat together one day and said, you know what, there's no standards. Every contract is different. Everything's all over the place. How do we create standards for the industry? When you did a contract, the terminology was different, so we launched the digital EMA in 2007. And then I essentially launched my own company in 2015, and it's digital distribution of content around the world. So a little bit about the digital EMA. We first started with a glossary of terminology. Here's some examples. Please go take a look at it. It's an ever living, breathing document to just help filmmakers and companies guide themselves into what they're actually doing in the space. We've also developed common metadata standards related to retail and digital distribution, avails notifications, and QC nomenclature, all the back-end work that needs to be done to get it to the consumer. We've developed standards in mezzanine files and digital audio-video distribution. We developed best practices for closed captioning, which is required in the States. And then we also produce shows, the Digital Media Pipeline Conference in New York and Los Angeles, as well as multiple salons for people to just congregate and just discuss what's going on in their worlds. So, how do you monetize today? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, Netflix is the word, and Netflix is wonderful, and they're the story of the industry. But if you don't get that deal, it is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of digging and finding and searching. So I always like to start with the basics. What is digital? You know what the rights are? There are 4 ways to monetize in the digital space. There is IVOD or TVOD, Internet Video on Demand or Transactional Video on Demand, or renting. EST, like purchasing a DVD or a Blu-ray, you're buying the asset. SVOD, which is what Netflix is, subscription video on demand, you pay a monthly fee. Or ad-supported, where actually ads are inserted within 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on what it is, and you monetize that way. So in the digital world, when filmmakers are doing deals, they need to know what rights they're granting, because sometimes they grant all rights when those weren't necessary, and they cut their nose off to monetize in other areas. So I like to throw some numbers in also, just to see, but where the projections of where the OTT world is. Right now, we're looking at $53 billion, $68 billion 2018, and projected to be $130 billion revenue around the world. So, and these are numbers that you can look up as well. But the wild card that I always bring up, everyone talks about SVOD and AVOD. Oh, there's the money. But in the States alone, it's a $3+ billion business on the EST and rental side. And those are numbers people forget about that helps all of the filmmakers as well. Not to be overlooked. Just a basic projection of where Netflix might be at 192 million subscribers possibly, with Amazon growing with their Prime, 120, China with their 3 strongholds right now, and then others, which includes India and Southeast and Asia as well. So, about Europe, on how the market is. Eastern Europe, about a $1 billion business last year, 1.5 this year, looking at $2 billion next year, and then looking at a 3.5 billion growth in a few years after that. So maturity, it's coming. And then Western Europe, looking at about a $10 billion business, and then within 6 years, a $23 billion. So now, actually, there's real revenue starting to come into the marketplace. So activity is there, and that's with growth. So I always say to everyone, if you're still interested in being in this, then your job is to seed, search, examine, entice, and deliver. People forget about that. The simplest way is if you're creating a film, well, who's your audience? Where is your audience? They don't look at that. You want funding, tell those funders how you're going to find your audience. Examine who that audience is, figure out how to entice them to be interested in your project, and then start delivering key little pieces to them so you can tease them into wanting to watch it. So, have you started preparing teaser segments to position in the marketplace for anticipation? Have you thought about the artwork, both poster and theatrical and digital? And are you thinking about what to do with your project 2 years after it releases? Not, oh, it released and, well, okay, thanks. No. Digital has a long lifespan. Does everyone know what the long tail is? If you can look it up, but the long tail is something that it's a wonderful title, and it just lives, and it's constant flow of revenue, consistent. And Martin mentioned the number earlier that I did not realize about half the features in Europe don't even make it to digital. That's long tail. That's a plethora of activity and films that people probably would love. So how do you monetize that? And that's not just once and it's done. That's a lifespan. You're talking, it did it this year, it did next year, in 5 years, it's still a good film. So that's gold. That's gold in them hills. So who's your audience, where's your audience, and how does your audience fit into your project? I mean, filmmakers today need to be challenged. It's not like it used to be where you can create a film, you license to somebody, and you've moved on. It's their babies. You gotta take care of your baby. You need to know who it is. You need to be involved with it. Social media, very important. Here are some of the strongholds, of course. So Facebook, that was mentioned earlier. So no, but very important in promoting. Overlooked by a lot of people is the artwork. You get a millisecond to find somebody's attention in the digital world. If you can't get them to stop, it's over. You're not getting them back. So how do you find attractive and create good artwork for them to just stop and go, it's interesting. Just things that just pop out to maybe grab someone's attention. Very, very important. And then you're talking about Windows, not the operating system, but Windows of where would you go to transactional or selling? When will you go to subscription? When do you go to AVOD? It's a business to figure out how to navigate this world. So bandwidth's not going to be a problem. The problem is education. Consumers to know how to get it. And it's not the younger demographic, it's more the older demographic. How do they get content? Are they set in their ways? How do we simplify it for them? Mobile's one way. You can stream it to smart TVs through a Chromecast, through Miracast, where you can just throw your screen onto the TV. So that's one way, and it's good, but it's not efficient for what we want. And then, how do you get people to enjoy the films in their homes? That's what they want. So right now, you've got the Xbox, all the gaming platforms. You've got the smart TV penetration, which is growing. Numbers say that there'll be over 100 million 4K TVs sold this year alone, so that's popping. You've got tablets. You've got the Amazon Fire, their married devices. You have the Apple TV, the Blu-ray player, Chromecast stick, and then Roku. Does anybody know the history of Roku? Roku and Netflix basically started together. They partnered with each other to get Netflix to the TV originally. And then they separated business. Netflix started expanding to Blu-ray players, smart TV devices, and Roku reinvented themselves. So, top platforms in the States, you probably know a few of them, but not all of them. So, Hoopla is public libraries. Google Play, we all know. Hulu, YouTube rents movies. iTunes, of course, Netflix, Amazon Instant Prime, Prime Video, Vudu, PlayStation, Microsoft Video Store, Tubi, who is the new kid on the block, who's been around for years, and then Fandango, the ticket sellers. So, just examples, there are about 2 million smartphone apps. There are 5,000 apps on this Roku device. Roku has 22 million active users. Tubi has 20 million installs. Tubi, this new service. And they're all active. So to monetize, it's brutal competition. Costs are high, aggregation is imperative. You gotta be nimble and move. So because of what's going on in that space with OTT, now you've got creative. You have somebody going, oh, I love Netflix, but I can do it a little differently, or I can curate this. And so from that ecosystem, we have different platforms popping up all over. So you've got Shudder, horror, Stars with TV, Hulu, iTunes, Screambox, another horror one, Watch Free Flicks. What do they do? Google Play TV, the Roku channel. No, Roku has created their own channel. Funimation, Animation, PureFlix, which is family good content, family-oriented. Steam, the gaming platform, over 100 million subscribers there. Fandor, indie films, Crackle. Then you've got BritBox, British TV. You've got Canopy, which goes to higher education and public libraries. Sundance Now, Pluto TV, which is an ecosystem in itself where they have multiple channels within their world that are all ad-supported. Vudu, Tribeca, I mean, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful time for growth and innovation. So, what has Netflix meant to the world expansion of this? And where are the European devices and streaming platforms? So this, when I remember announced last year, just excited me to no end. The fact of Creative Europe promoting and investing in multiple platforms out here to give them a running start, which is great. So I thought it was a great start to invest in Europe. Internationally, a year ago, I did a similar type of presentation. There weren't that many platforms, so Asia's starting to pop all over the place. Hook, Catchplay, iFlix, QuickFlix, Filmon, Viki, Mubi. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And then China, who everybody talks about, and they have the three strongholds, Tencent, QI, and Youku. And don't forget about the new boys coming in, or the new kids on the block. Facebook Watch, which is in its early days still. Disney Plus. Warner Media now coming. And then the whole Sky Comcast scenario that's going on. So endless opportunities out there in the marketplace. And then out of the box thinking. And I tell people this all the time. It's like there's a traditional everybody knows, but, well, what about planes, trains, and buses? Yep, you can monetize that way. Libraries, we talked about, colleges and universities. Correctional facilities. Yes, everybody wants to watch movies. It's not just the main guys, it's all these guys. And gaming platforms. So there is money. It takes a lot of work, flexibility, and patience. It does take patience to do this. It's not a one-stop, and that's why I say long-tail legacy, it's a build. And what is your window? What is your timeline? So some takeaways that I have from everything is the market is ripe but has not been cultivated properly, which we've heard earlier. There is no European streaming device for legacy TV owners to be able to access content through non-smart TVs, meaning if you have an older TV with HDMI input, but it's not a smart TV, we can access apps. The Roku and some of the other devices plug in through the HDMI, and now they've become smart TVs instead of having someone go out and buy a brand new smart TV. So that's what I always look at. Curation is the key to navigate the vast amount of European productions that still haven't been made available digitally. Producers need to understand that there are many opportunities outside of the majors. And we need cooperation between the EC, tech, and creative industry. And that's mine in a nutshell, so thanks so much.